chapter is considered to be the essence of Vedic philosophy. So, in the speaker of Bhagavad Gita is a personality called Sri Krishna, and it's before a battle, a great battle, and Krishna is on the side of the Pandavas, who are his cousins, and he is the charioteer of his cousin called Arjuna. So Arjuna has this like moral dilemma before the battle. So Krishna, being his charioteer and guide, takes him into the middle of the battlefield before the war's about to start, and discusses Vedic philosophy. And one particular aspect of the philosophy, one concept he talks about is the material nature. So we're going to be just speaking from that. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So just go here. So the living entity in material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the free modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Okay, so I'm not going to read the whole purport. I'm just going to discuss this. Just get my iPad on. Right, so Krishna here is speaking to Arjuna in the 13th chapter. And before he starts speaking, he says, I've told you a lot of information before, about spiritual subject matter, about the spirit soul. But he says this information that I'm about to tell you is the best of all knowledge. By understanding this knowledge, you can achieve perfection. Okay? And so when we, by the end of the presentation, hopefully you have that same type of conclusion. So Krishna speaking about us, the living entity in material nature. What is material nature? This material world. Right? And it's explained in Bhagavad Gita, we're going through this cycle of birth and death. We're going through different species, and we're experiencing different things. Because we identify with this body, i.e. I'm an American, I'm British, I'm Indian, I'm Chinese, whatever, we develop something called material consciousness. Material consciousness means I identify with matter. And because of that, we come under the sway of material nature and the free modes of material nature. And when we're under this modes of the free modes of material nature, we experience things good and evil. Now, it doesn't mean good things as in, you win the lottery or something like that. I mean, you have pleasant experiences, you have bad experiences. Well, it depends on your body, right? So Krishna talks about this. So let's discuss this a bit more. So I'm going to try and make this interactive. So if you want to ask a question anytime, please do. So what are the free modes of material nature? What are the free modes? So the free modes of material nature are a categorization of material nature. So everything you experience, including your thoughts, your speech, what you eat, what you see, is categorized under free modes, free qualities. I'll discuss that on the next slide. So everything, your clothes, everything, basically it is the building, you could say it's like the building construct of everything. Everything is made up of these free elements. It pervades everything in creation. So it's not like one day you can wake up and say, well, I don't really want to deal with the free modes. No, it's not like that. It's like the Matrix. Who's seen the Matrix? When it came out in 1999? There was a saying, the Matrix is everywhere. You can't escape it. So we are in the Matrix. We can't escape it. Well, we can, if you read the Gita fully. But right now we are in the Matrix, and it pervades everything, and we cannot escape it by using what we know. Okay? And the most important aspect of the free modes is that it conditions and influences us. This is the most important aspect of the free modes. It conditions and influences us. Okay, so now we're gonna discuss this a bit more. Right, so I'll just explain about the free modes and our interactive part starts. So guna means quality, but it also means rope. So in the Vedic scriptures, it talks about this rope that binds you, right? It binds you to this material body, and as a result of it, you act in a certain way. So what are the free modes? Sattva, goodness. Rajas, passion. Tama, ignorance. Now, obviously, because we speak English, we know that obviously if you look at these words, you think goodness is better. You think passion can be good or bad. Ignorance is definitely bad, right? Because the way we use English. So, and we like to think we live a life that's in goodness. We're nice people, we're kind, we're charitable. We work hard, we pay our taxes. So now I'm gonna start off like so we can really appreciate this point. So, in all aspects of our life, like from when we wake up, we get ready, we have breakfast, we go to work or we go to school or whatever, we come back home. We're doing so many different things. We're speaking to people, we have to do certain things. Are we being forced to do those things, or are we doing it choicefully, i.e. are we doing it out of free will? So put your hand up if you think it's out of free will, all the different activities you're doing throughout the day. So 1, okay. So all of you think you're being forced to do it? Who thinks you're being forced? You didn't put your hand up? So you don't think it's free will? Or you've been forced, so you're in between. Can you explain? Huh?
In between, because we've been taught to do things in a certain way, and we need to act in accordance with society and follow certain rules, and we know that we need to work because that's the way that we're going to be able to buy things, but like would that be what we would be doing?
Okay.
And we have kind of a tribal mentality, so I don't think it's completely out of free will.
Okay, so it's a big combination. Who thinks the same? Who has a different understanding of that? Like, what's their understanding? Ash, right?
Yes.
Ashutosh, I remember you.
Nice to see you, brother.
Nice to see you.
For me, just the fact that I am within this, I don't know, I'm going to call it form, expression, in the physical body, in this world.
Yeah.
There are certain things inherent that I have to go through and do on a daily basis in order for, to subsist, to be balanced, to be harmonious, and like move and interact.
Yeah.
But there's other things that I choose to actually do because they're connected with purpose, they make me feel fabulous, they make me feel awesome, and there's other things that I do because, I don't know, I may fall in a funk and I'm like, okay, I'm deliberately keeping myself on that funk.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Well, I think there's a secret third thing that we're not mentioning here, because like when you get out of the way of God, it's neither free will or forced. It's just a happening. It's like when you're in touch with Krishna, I feel like there's a calling.
Okay.
That is like there's a need. It's neither. It's just it's like a flowing.
Okay. So if it's flowing, are you saying you're being compelled to do something?
Well, that's an interesting one, right?
So if you're being compelled,
there's schools of thought that says that there is no free will.
Okay.
It's an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the karmic lessons that we go through, right? Are they chosen? There's destiny? It's like the same question about destiny versus free will, I guess.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else? No? Okay. So let's use an example so we can different examples to see how this plays out. Right. So smoking. Who thinks we're doing it because we're being forced to do it? People who smoke it, if they smoke. Who thinks they're being forced to do it? You think they're being forced? Why do you think you're being forced?
Well, not like the first time they do it. I think their first time doing that is free will, and once they become addicted, they're being forced.
Okay. Anyone else? Do you think they're doing it out of free will? Yes, why?
I speak for myself.
Okay.
In that regard, because I know it's bad. I know it's not, sattva, or it's not the goodness that you're giving to your body. But it is something that I'm choosing to do. And I know all the ways that I can stop doing it, but I'm choosing to not do that. And do the opposite.
I remember when I was in school in the 90s, early 90s, and all my friends started to smoke because to look cool. Like I didn't smoke because it just wasn't something that really appealed to me. But I remember they were doing it, and then when I got to college, because I went to a white school, so when I went to college, I saw all these Asian people of my community there, and they were all smoking. It was like such a culture shock to me, because I thought they had the same values as me, not smoking, not drinking, and they were all doing it, and it was like a way to be cool, to be accepted, So with smoking, there's the notion of addiction. So it's kind of like once you, like you said, in the beginning you have some free will, but once you take it, you become addicted, because nicotine's addictive. So there's that notion there. Okay, so what about this other example? Try not to laugh. So in the 90s, I was a bit of a raver. Obviously not now, it was a long time ago, but I'm sure we all did it, So these people, they're dressed up in their best clothes, I'm presuming. They've got the best perfume on. You know, they're doing their best dance move that they learn off YouTube. You know, and they're trying to impress someone, the opposite sex or whoever. Are these people doing it out of free will, or are they being forced to do it? Yes.
I don't have such a clear answer, but I do believe the more I interact with people and myself that we are driven by our emotions to such a deep level that I don't know where these emotions come from, but I believe whether it's the smoking or the partying, it's because we want to feel something so deeply. And depending on how much we do or do not control our emotions, like they control us. I just don't know where they really come from.
Anyone else? Someone hasn't spoken. Yes.
I think, could it be a combination of both? Because the first is the environment.
Yeah.
But then you choose to be in that environment.
Okay.
That's free will. But then whatever you're surrounded by, it's hard to just like do something else, you know?
Okay, so you can't just be you can't just be static. Is that what you're saying?
And sometimes people don't like doing these things, but they still do it because of the environment.
Well, I don't know. When I was at that age, I used to like doing it. You know, I was into the music. You know, it was like it's part of a movement for me.
But did you like doing it every day?
Well, obviously you can't do it every day.
But
You can't. It's like saying, can you eat every single moment? You can't. Everything in moderation. No, that's what people.
What I'm saying is sometimes it's FOMO or environment, but you like doing it,
Okay.
but not every single time, you know.
Okay.
So I think I feel like it could be a mix, but more free will.
Okay.
You have to have a really strong will to not go in the opposite flow of these, you know.
Okay. So you have to have strong free will.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, what strengthens your free will? Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Like I know it's intelligent not to eat junk food, you know, to work out, go to the gym, you know, wake up early, but I don't do it.
To have a stronger connection with yourself.
Strong connection with yourself. Okay. Anyone else would like to add? Yes.
I call it inner resolute. Like when you know that there's certain things that you have to do, like
You have
go
to do,
for,
yeah.
It's a must. Like bam, you set your way on that, and then you stay straight.
But one may say you're being forced to do that. You're doing it because you have to do it because because you've made that kind of decision, that sankalpa, that I have to do this.
Well, in the sense that I have already like discerned through a bunch of things in my life, and I know that on this side, this answer, it's not going to help me out. And what about this answer or this path right here?
Okay.
So when I am very clear on the path that renders the higher taste of the fruit, then boom, and I feel that strengthens, you know, that aspect of will within me.
Good, very good. There's some interesting answers here. If you have a question, anyone, please put up your hand. You know, we're not like it's not that I'm speaking. It's meant to be interactive. So I'm gonna read another verse which gives more context to this. Okay. So again from the Bhagavad Gita, from the 3rd chapter. So Krishna says that the bewildered soul, under the influence of the free modes of mature nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are in actuality carried out by nature. So what this verse is actually saying is that, you know, we're going about our daily lives. We think we're either doing it out of free will or we're being forced to do it. It's actually something else behind us that's making us do those activities. We don't really, we may think we're doing it. We may think, yeah, I'm doing it because I've acquired some knowledge, blah, 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 but actually something else is doing that, and it's the free modes of mature nature. So this free modes of mature nature, goodness, passion, ignorance, this pervades everywhere and it influences us. But how does it influence us? Okay, it influences us by us basically associating with each of the modes. Now every day we make a decision to choose a specific mode. We do it unconsciously, but we are doing it. It's like we know when we wake up in the morning, we've got to brush our teeth, have a bath, put on fresh clothes. You know, I mean, when I was in school, most kids didn't do that for some strange reason, but you know. But yeah, anyway. So you know, like you know, so when you're doing something that's clean, that's hygienic, you know, you get benefit from that. But imagine not having a bath every day. You know, think I just need to brush my teeth. I'll just have an apple, just freshen my breath. You know, after a while, you're gonna get bad. Your body, you're gonna have bacteria that's gonna build up in your body. You're gonna be affected. But the fact is, you've acquired that knowledge. You know it's the right thing to do. So it's coming from something. It's compelling you to do something. So this is what Krishna is saying. He's saying the free modes are actually making you do something. So let me look at another example. Yeah, I mean I couldn't find an example of a criminal, but when I was young, this is what I used to think they should look like. Right. So so let's say you have this criminal, okay? This person, due to whatever circumstances in a certain situation, he needs money, right? We all need money. And he goes out and commits a crime. He's committed a crime. Now the police are after him. The police arrest him because the police will always get you. They arrest him. They take him to court, and they put him in jail for whatever time. So we can say that his first initial action was free will, right? I don't think we can argue with that. But what came afterwards, was that being forced upon him, or was he choosing that? It was being forced upon him, right? So that's how it works. When you associate with each of the modes, you may do it with some knowledge, but once you associate that mode, there will be a consequence. There will be a certain chain reaction that will happen. Just like I gave the example of someone who doesn't who doesn't have a bath in the morning. That's the mode of ignorance, right? If he doesn't have a bath, after a while he's going to feel unhygienic. He's going to get sick. He's going to have to go to hospital. So, but if because he's made that decision. Once you make that decision, what happens afterwards? You have no control over, and that's what Krishna is saying in the previous verse. That the modes of mature nature, they take over. Now, the more you associate with that particular mode, i.e., goodness, passion, ignorance, you are more likely to make that decision. Now, I was like my wife's a lawyer. She was telling me about that. How people, when they get arrested and they get released from jail after they've done a time, they just tend to go back to jail, right? There's a term for it. I can't remember. And they've experienced the hardship of being arrested, being in jail, having your freedom taken away. But still, when they come out, they commit the crime, knowing that what's going to happen, and they go back. And there's people that it's happened to many years. Like I was watching a TV documentary about this British criminal who was quite famous in England, and he spent 40 years of his life in prison. And it wasn't like for a 40-year sentence. It was like 6 months here, 1 year here. He just kept going back. And I was thinking, surely you would learn from the first experience, right? But he just kept going back. So that's what the modes of mature nature does. Once you choose a symptom of that mode, right? Now I'm going to discuss that later on. But once you choose a symptom of each of the mode, the more you choose that symptom, you're going to become conditioned and habituated by it. So if you're associating with the mode of passion, for example, you're going to make decisions in the mode of passion unconsciously. You won't even have to think about it. It will be natural to you. Just like I was just thinking, so like when we're on the trains, we see people due to unfortunate circumstances, they're homeless, right? And sometimes because they don't have cleaning facilities, there's bad hygiene, they have bad health, even bad mental health, right? So now, and if someone just if someone said why don't you go into that situation for a day, see how it goes, immediately you're going to be disgusted. You're going to be like, I can't do this. I feel like puking. But that person is doing it. Why is he doing it? Obviously he has no choice. But the thing is, he's become habituated, he's become conditioned by that. So for him, it's normal. He doesn't, he doesn't, the bad smell doesn't smell like bad smell to him. It smells like perfume to him. It doesn't affect him. So he will live in that he will live in that type of lifestyle, but he will not think it's bad. Whereas someone who goes into it for the first time will immediately see that effect. Will be like, oh my God, I need to get out of here. I remember I was in Atlantic City, with my wife a few years ago, and I've never been to a casino in my life, and because we were staying in a hotel, so when we went downstairs, so we ended up in the casino, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to a casino. Once you get in, it's really hard to get out because there's no exit sign. It's like they're deliberately keeping you there. And I remember I was only there for it took me 15 minutes, me and my wife, to get out. But I remember I just felt this really dark energy, it was giving me a headache, I was like, I have to get out of this place. And then when I was inside, I saw all these people playing, elderly people. They were hitting I think it's called a fruit machine. They kept pressing it. It's like a robot. Keep doing that. And then you saw all these people with the I don't know what you call them coin things. And it was and they had happy smiles. They had their best clothes on. And I was like, I'm getting a headache here. I need to get the hell out. So why is that not happening with them? Because they've been going there so often, it's normal for them. Like someone who works in a slaughterhouse, right, slaughters animals, right? In the beginning, it's quite traumatic, but after a while, they get used to it. It's not like it's because the way the modes works is it conditions and influences you. You think it's normal. You know, like you know, they say how long does it take to build a habit? Is it 7 days or 30 days?
22
Anyone?
days.
20 days.
22 days.
22 days. Okay, so it takes, let's say, okay, 22 days. So after 22, let's say, who had New Year's resolution here? Did anyone set any resolutions? I usually end up breaking mine after a week, going to gym. But anyway, so like, you know, like, what's the number one thing people make resolutions for at the end of the year?
The gym.
The gym. Who actually keeps to it? Hardly anyone. I heard it's something like 90% of people drop out in the first month. So you could say, well, their purpose is not strong. They don't have enough intelligence, or they're just lazy, right? But the thing is, it's like if they keep to it, it becomes normal. So, and the more and more they do it, they'll feel, if they don't go to the gym after 3 months, they'll start to feel guilty. They'll feel like they won't feel right. Because they've been going there so often, it's normal to them, it's natural to them. So this is the beauty of the modes of mature nature. It makes you think you are the body, it makes you do things, and you think you're doing it. So let's look at, okay, let's look at another. So I'm just gonna kind of like ask you for examples. So when you think of the mode of goodness, when you think of goodness, just say think of, what do you think of? What examples do you think of?
Children, dogs.
Dogs. Okay. Some people will say no for dogs, but yeah. Anything else?
Charity.
Charity. Okay. What else?
Nature.
Nature.
Service.
Service. What else? You haven't spoken. Relaxing.
Volunteering.
Volunteering. Okay. Anything else?
Lunch, like bright lights.
Bright lights. Okay. Good. Okay. So when we think of passion, what do we think of?
Love.
Love. Oh, that's a good one actually. Some people say goodness. Okay. What else? Passion. You know, we say I have a passion for this.
Purpose.
Purpose.
Hobbies.
What do you say?
Hobbies.
Hobbies. Okay. What about supporting your favorite football? Oh, you don't call it football. We call it soccer. So, basketball team. You know, you see these guys. They go out there they dress up in funny costumes. You know, to support their team. They do all sorts of crazy things. So you have a passion for that. What else can we say?
Proving a point to one person or like 10,000 people, it doesn't matter. Like proving that point no matter what.
Yeah, you can be really stubborn. You know, I'm right, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. What else? Anyone? Anything else?
Commitment.
Commitment. Why is commitment passionate?
Maybe along the lines of what he was saying, like then you're determined to achieve that thing, and
But wouldn't that be a goodness thing though? If you're committed, especially for the right thing, that would be a goodness thing, right? You could also be committed to a wrong thing. Then that would be passionate or ignorance. So probably you say?
Yeah, I would say to her point, maybe overcommitment.
Overcommitment.
Of like a false, where it's like even if I'm about to lose my life, I'm gonna make this little tiny point that's all together.
Yeah. So your ego takes over, you know. Sometimes it's like, you know, like I was like I used to argue with my brother-in-law, and because I'm the oldest at my siblings, so, and like we used to get into arguments, and my mom said, why don't you just listen to your brother, let him say his piece, and he just wants to get it out of him, and then he'll calm down. And I was like, no, but he's wrong, I want to say my point, you know. So sometimes you can save a lot of arguments just by keeping quiet. Okay, ignorance. What do you think of when we say ignorance? This is the easy one. We should.
Not taking care of oneself.
Not taking care of oneself. So being, I don't know, unhygienic, eating junk food, what else?
Oversleeping.
Oversleeping. They say the human body only needs about 6 to 7 hours sleep. I mean, who sleeps more than 6-7 hours a year?
Women need more.
Huh?
New study, women need 8 to 10 hours.
Oh, yeah.
And then if anyone overweight needs 9 to 10 hours.
That's true. Gotcha. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's alright. It's alright. I'm not attached. So yeah, I mean, when I was, I'm sure we had this experience. Like when we were young, we'd cram for our exams. Like I remember I was at university and I had this coursework to give in, and I went to sleep around about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had to wake up at 7. So you know, I was like 18, 19, and I could do it because I was younger. You know, I was much more healthy. I could push my body, but I can't do that now. Like when I usually fly to India, which is like a 13, 15-hour flight, as soon as I get to my location, I'm out for the whole day, you know, because you need to sleep. So ignorance. Now, let's discuss it. Goodness. So we gave examples of each of these things, right? But if we were to give it a word that really symptomizes this term, goodness, right? Someone said it earlier on. or it's a symptom of that. When we're talking about what would make us have good, use free will in a good way, we use that word. I think it was you. I, begins with I. Intelligence, right? So when we think, to be intelligent, what do you need? You need knowledge. Why do you need knowledge? Because knowledge tells you what is the proper utility of everything. Just like this laptop, it's for me to work on, it's for me to browse, maybe watch Netflix here and there, but it's not for me to use for cooking, you know? So knowledge tells you how to use things in the right way. Now what about passion? When we think of passion, what do you think of? What if you could use another term to, like, just like we use good knowledge for goodness, what could we use for passion?
Catalyst.
Kath, can you explain that?
Because the passion it's like fire, it makes you want to act on something.
Anyone else?
I think of the word drive.
Drive.
Yeah, that's what came to my head.
Okay. Okay, and you had your hand up?
It depends on the passion, I guess. It can be a good or bad thing, right?
It can be, depending on what you're doing it for.
Well, are we taking a good word here? Or?
No, I'm asking for your opinion. What do you think of when you...
Like drive is a good word.
Drive?
Positive.
Okay.
But they're like fanatic, like too much obsession could be bad.
Okay. So generally when we think of, so it can be negative and positive. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, when he talks about passion, if you, an aggregate of all the things he talks about passion, he uses the word fruitive desire. It means to be fruitive. So fruitive desire can be good, can be bad, but it's generally fruitive. You have a desire to do something. And then what about ignorance? If you do ignorance, if you choose things in the mode of ignorance and you keep doing it, what is it going to lead to? It's going to lead to your
Downfall.
Say that again?
Downfall.
Yeah. What's another word for downfall?
Distraction.
Yeah, that will happen, but more like
Decline.
I'm trying to think of more of a cinematic, strong word. Yeah.
Destruction.
Destruction. That's it. It leads to your destruction, but death also works as well. So mode of ignorance, like if you choose something in the mode of ignorance, you keep doing it, like not having a bath, eating unhealthy food, like stale food that's gone out of date, you're gonna get sick and you're gonna die. Or let's say you don't pay your bills, you're renting, you don't pay, I don't want to pay my rent, I just want to go shopping down Soho, I want to buy the latest Nike Jordans, I want to go to Miami for the weekend, I don't care about the rent, they're not gonna kick me out. You have that mentality, after a while you are going to get kicked out, it's going to affect your credit score, you're not going to be able to rent again, right? And then eventually you may become homeless, so it will lead to your destruction. So destruction, when Krishna talks about the mode of ignorance, he talks about the aggregate, if you aggregate it comes to destruction. So mode of goodness is knowledge, passion is fruitive desire, and ignorance is destruction. So I'm going to give an example of things in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. I'm just going to choose two simple examples. So cooking, we all cook, right? I mean, I've actually become quite a good cook since I moved to America. Indian food, I mean. So goodness, like cooking. You cook, you use the right kind of food, right, in right amounts. You consider the person healthy. You're not going to give someone nuts if they have a nut allergy, right? Right. So there's knowledge behind it. There's consciousness behind it. Passion. You're only doing it for taste. Right? You're making it you're making it too pungent, too salty, too spicy. Like I'm Indian, but I love my spicy food, But that's not like other people wouldn't like that. So you're in a hurry. Like we've all been there. Like when we're rushing in the morning, we'll make a quick coffee or we'll make a quick sandwich and we'll eat on the way out. But is that sandwich made with good consciousness? Is it made properly? You may miss a slice of cheese or some lettuce. It's not made properly when you're rushing things, right? But when you're doing ignorance, you're not thinking of who's eating it. Like you're giving meat to a vegetarian, for example, or you're not thinking of the season. You haven't checked the ingredients. You haven't checked whether it's out of date or not. So just a simple action like cooking can be in different modes dependent on how you do it. And the basis to do it correctly is knowledge, right? So like if you want to go to the gym, you want to lose weight, you have to follow the guidance. If you have a personal instructor, you follow him, he'll tell you to do things properly. Like I remember I was at the gym in 2018 back in London. I tried to lift, I don't know what the exercise is called, but I was trying to lift these heavy weights. And I wasn't qualified to do that, and I ended up paying my back. And my personal trainer said, "Why did you lift that? I didn't tell you to do that." And I thought, no, I can do it. This small guy was doing it, I can also do it. But it was just my ego talking. But I ended up suffering for that. You could say that's a combination of passion and ignorance. Let's look at another example: driving. Who's ever driven fast when they're like angry? Anyone done a bit of road rage in their time? It happens right now. So driving, a person who is in a mode of goodness drives responsibly. He checks the hazards, he checks the signs. He does it in a safe way. Like I took an Uber today because I live in Roosevelt Island, and the trains were slow, and I was like, I need to get to Manhattan so I catch my train. So this Uber driver came, and he was driving at slow speed, and I said to him, "Can you drive faster, please? I'm in a rush." And he was like, "But this is the limit, speed limit. I think the speed limit is like 20 miles per hour." And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm in a rush." But obviously, he stuck to his way, the right thing to do. So if he would have gone faster, he would have got probably in trouble. He would have got points, whatever, right? Now, passion is when you're driving too fast. Like I remember when I used to work in financial services back in London. Like I had to do this journey, and it usually takes half an hour. And I remember one day I left 15 minutes before work started. And I remember I was probably doing it was a 15 mile per hour highway, and I was doing something like 80, 90 when the cameras went there, just to get to work on time. I was like so desperate to get to work on time because I didn't want to get in trouble. But I was being passionate, and like sometimes I've seen people when they drive, right? Like there's a proper form to drive. You drive with your two hands on the steering wheel. But I've seen you probably see it in the films when people drive, they drive like this, right? They're leaning back. So I don't know how they do that, and then sometimes because in England we drive manual, so so basically you have to you have a gear stick, so you have to maneuver it in a certain way. So you have to use your hand, and when you push through, you do, there's a certain action you have to do. But I know a lot of people who don't do that, and with automatic cars you get a bit lazy. So so we get passionate. Now ignorance, inattentive, wrong direction. I remember once I was driving, and my friend's seat wasn't clicking in. So while I was driving on this side road, I started to push his seat in because I don't know why I did that. But then I ended up crashing because my attention was not on the road. Luckily I didn't hurt anybody, but I crashed my car. My car wasn't written off, but thank God. But the point is, because of that action I did in ignorance, it led to suffering for me. I had to pay out of pocket to get my car fixed. My insurance wouldn't cover it. So these are simple examples I can talk about. So when we now I've said that when you choose things in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance, you will become conditioned by it. And technically, you don't really have free will. Now, the goal of this presentation is to become free of the influence, right, of the modes of immature nature, the modes of goodness, passion, ignorance. But the thing is, out of the three, the best platform is what? Which is the best mode out of the three? The mode of goodness. Why? Because it represents knowledge. So it's not that we reject the mode of goodness, because otherwise, if you're rejecting the modes, how are you going to function? Someone said, be inert, be static. You can't be static, because even being static itself is a mode of ignorance. Because we all have to work, we all have to think, we all have to do something. So if you're doing things in the mode of goodness, you're going to have better health. You're going to achieve more. Like if you study, if you wake up early, you study in the right quantity at the right time in advance of your exam, you're going to do very well, right? Some people cram for exam and they get through. Like I remember I had a friend and he didn't come to university, he didn't revise, he just turned up in an exam and it was multiple choice and he got all the questions right. And I asked him, how did you do it? He said, I just did, I just guessed, and lucky, and he got 70%. And I was like, I got like 60, and I was like, I worked so hard, how did you do better than me? So you have cases like that. But if you're doing things correctly, you're not gonna stress. You're gonna be like, okay, I've done my best, I'm calm, I can go for it. Knowledge, wisdom, we will discuss that. Happiness. You have a greater sense of contentment and happiness in life if you do things in the mode of goodness. Now, more qualities. You develop qualities naturally. Someone said kindness, someone said charitable. The other quality you can develop is tolerance and determination. So mode of goodness is a good platform. It's not, you can't reject it. But the aim is for us to basically choose the mode of goodness as a platform to come off it. So basically, in Krishna consciousness, we practice spiritual activity, which is chanting, which is reading scripture, serving. We do that in a certain consciousness, right? It's not that we do different activities. So our activities are the same in mode of goodness, you know, like waking up early, having a bath, you know, reading. These are all mode of goodness activities. But if you're connecting it to a spiritual cause, you're basically rising above the mode of goodness. So the mode of goodness is described to be like a runway. So you know you have a plane that's on the runway, and then basically, yes? Oh, sorry. The runway, without the runway, the plane can't take off unless it's a helicopter, you know? But with the runway, the plane can take off. So the mode of goodness is like a platform. If we use the symptoms of the mode of goodness, we can arise above the mode of goodness and come to a higher platform, become free of material conditioning, material consciousness, which is pure goodness. So now we know what.
Well, you might answer the question here, but you're saying that when you're acting in like the mode of passion, that you're being like forced to because you're in that passion. But wouldn't it be free will to decide to rise above to the mode of goodness?
But so if you're on passion, yeah. So how do you rise above?
No, it's like, but I'm just saying, like, isn't that still free will because then you're deciding?
No, it's true. But for you to go from passion to goodness, something needs to happen, right? What happens? You can't use the symptoms. You can use it to a certain degree, but there's something else that has to happen. Because if you're, let's say for example, you're someone who lives, let's say, a mode of ignorance lifestyle, right? Now, how can you go from there to the mode of passion? It's going to be very difficult, right? Now, you can say knowledge, but people know that smoking is bad, right? But they still smoke, right? So knowledge on its own is not enough. So you have to, at some point, make a small choice in the mode of goodness. So if you're in the mode of passion, you have to do a small thing in the mode of goodness. And when you make that decision, it could be anything. It could be waking up early. It could be walking in nature. It could be doing something charitable. When you make that small choice, what happens is it sets off a chain reaction. And then the more you do it, the more and more the mode of goodness takes over you. And you will automatically, naturally, in all aspects of your life, you will make decisions in the mode of goodness. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Does anyone have a question? Yeah.
It also seems that free will is a part of that to some extent. Maybe not an absolute will, but a free will. To reference from Bhagavad Gita, I'm curious what your thoughts on this.
Yeah,
there's,
so
one instance where Krishna actually instructs Arjuna to rise above the mode. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on how free will plays about.
So the thing is, it's not that you don't have any free will. Of course you have free will, because if you didn't have free will, it's not like you're in this water, you're spinning around. You have no free. No, you do have free will, but your free will at the different modes, it varies. So at the mode of ignorance, you don't have much free will because you're covered by ignorance. You can't appreciate knowledge. Just like someone who smokes cigarettes, you can, like in England, they have on the cigarettes they have a picture of what it does to your lungs, right? That's knowledge, but does it have an effect? No, it doesn't, right? So that's not going to work for them. Right. So your free will is limited, but as you go up onto the mode of goodness, because you're associating with knowledge, then your free will gets better, right? So someone who lives on the streets, who's homeless, unfortunate situation, his free will is quite limited. He's limited by, he won't appreciate certain things, But someone in the mode of goodness who lives in a house, has a job, has a loving family, healthy, he'll be able to make better decisions because his environment is in the mode of goodness. So his free will is better. Your free will is limited by the mode you associate with. Now, but when you're in the mode of goodness, you're still under the conditioning of the modes of material nature. So so once you become free of that influence, then you will have true free will. You'll have true autonomy. But before that, you won't have it. But even in the mode of goodness, it's a good platform. Yes.
So a fellow Londoner made this concept very, very clear to me. It was a hypnotist magician called Darren Brown.
Oh, okay.
And he invited some conceptualizers from the top advertisement agents into his office.
Yep.
And he said, okay, I want you to make an ad for a made-up business. It's a line of taxidermy shops, like stuffed dead animals.
Yeah.
Give it a name, give it a slogan, draw the ad out, and I'll give you 30 minutes, and here's the envelope. When you're done, open this envelope. And so they drew a bear with a heart in the clouds. It said animal heaven, where the animals go after.
Yeah.
And they opened up the envelope and it was the same thing, and they were completely bewildered. And it was simply the taxi ride from their office to his office. We passed by a music shop, there was a harp in the window. A guy came out of so it was a bear with wings. The guy came out of the building with a package with wings drawn on. They drove past the animal hospital. They had actors, kids who had a t-shirt that had a particular logo, like the gate of the zoo looked like the gates of heaven.
Yeah.
And all those elements, these artists are thinking, look at my independent, autonomous, beautiful invention of this creation of this ad, but it was exactly what they planned it to do. So it's just showing how much we are influenced by our environment.
Yeah, I actually like Darren Brown's TV shows. It's pretty far out. Yeah, so like going back to smoking, and we know, like I remember when I was 10 years old, these people came to my school and they did a presentation on not smoking and not taking drugs, and that had a huge impact on me. Right, I was like, and when I saw what they did to what it does to the inside of the body, especially smoking, I was like, I don't ever want to smoke. Right, and then when I got to school, we call it secondary school, and I saw people smoking, and some of them gave it up later on in the different years, but they were doing it just to look cool. So it was like a type of peer pressure. It was, to impress others. So like they knew it was bad, but they were doing it just to fit in. And then some of those people gradually got addicted. Like my friend, I still remember this. I was 16 then. He took one puff of a cigarette just to see how it is. That one puff, by the end of the week, led to him buying 2 packets of cigarettes. Within 7 days. So that, it just shows it was just so like disproportionate. You make one decision, but it has such a massive effect. So we should try to, and the way we know things are in the mode of goodness is by understanding what is the proper way to use it, to have knowledge of that thing. Like this mic is for me to speak in, it's not for me to hit someone with. It's for me to speak, and it basically spreads my sound vibration throughout the room. So when we know things, how they're supposed to be used with knowledge, and we're doing it in the right consciousness, in the right way, then we're going to get results connected to that. Just like the criminal example I gave. He committed a crime, right? Everything that came afterwards was negative, was bad for him. He couldn't control it. So the decision you make will give you a corresponding result. So if you are someone who's hardworking, you save your money, you invest your money, when it comes to retirement, you're going to be all right. You're going to be able to live your life in peace. But there's people who've retired, they've just spent their money on all sorts of things. They haven't saved, they haven't invested, just about paid off their mortgage. They can't afford to retire, right? I'm sure we know people like that, right? So obviously there's other factors in play as well, like taxes and whatnot. So if you choose things in the mode of goodness, your results, your life will be you'll always be at a good level. I'm not saying you're going to become a billionaire or you're going to become the next, Bill Gates, but you will have a high quality of life. Now we all know what is the proper way to do certain things, right? We all know, like consciously we know it's good to study in advance for an exam. It's good to go to the gym. It's good to eat healthy. It's good to be nice to people. It's good to be charitable. So basically it's good. We know the mode of goodness unconsciously is a good thing. But why don't we choose it? Why are we not choosing to do things in the mode of goodness? So why do you think? Why don't we choose it? Yes?
I actually meant to ask this question.
Oh.
Why is it easy to be ignorant?
Why is it easy?
Sometimes we choose to be ignorant, like knowingly.
Yeah.
It's like, easy.
Okay. Yes.
And
Good. No.
I think that answer to that question is basically that's what I've been trying to find, honestly.
Okay.
Like even if you know both,
Yeah.
you choose to be ignorant. Then why? Like what intelligence, even with the intelligence, sometimes you choose to be ignorant.
Okay. So why don't we choose doing things in the mode of goodness? We know it's good to eat food, healthy food, organic food. We know it's good to stay away from alcohol, to stay away from cigarettes, stay away from drugs. We know it's good to be a good person. Why don't we do it? Yes?
Would you like gratification? A lot of ignorant things, you get instant gratification.
Very good.
A lot of good things, it's kind of like delayed.
Cool. That's a very good answer. That's actually one of my answers. So we, I just put both of them in. So the thing with the mode of goodness, right? is the result is not instantaneous. It's separated by time. So like you go to university, I think in this country you study for 4 years, in England it's 3 years. You go to university, you work really hard. You're not going to get your degree in the first day, the first month, the first year. You're going to get it after 4 years, isn't it? Right? It's not like you work and you get paid on the day or you get paid at the end of the week. So the mode of goodness, results are generally delayed, right? And we like instant gratification. You know, we live our life according to pain and pleasure, right? So if someone said to me, like, you know, that, well, not me, I'm just giving an example, but like, if let's say I'm a person who desperately needs money, right? And someone says, you know, if you do this job, I'll pay you $1,000. And then versus someone who says, well, if you work for me for a month, at the end of the month, I'll give you $30,000. Because I desperately need money, I'm gonna go for the instant thing, the $1,000. But logic and common sense tells me, if I work for this guy, at the end of the month, I'm gonna get $30,000, right? Because we want pain and pleasure all the time. So the result is delayed. Right? The mode of passion, mode of ignorance, instantaneous. You take drugs, you get a, what's the word? Buzz. You get a buzz straight away, right? Like you know it's right to study, but then your friends say, let's go to a party, let's hang out, let's dance, right? Because the effect is straight away. You know it's the wrong thing to do. Like people go shopping, they buy expensive clothes, right? And you know there's a type of experience that I have, right? But once that experience wears off, then you need to do it again. So this is the thing with the mode of goodness. It's the mode of goodness, we don't choose it because the result, the effect is delayed by time. But that doesn't make it a bad thing. Like going to the gym, you're not gonna get fit straight away. You have to put the time in, and after you've completed that course of time, you're gonna get results which are permanent, which are steady, right? And you'll be able to sustain it. Like, you know, like trying to lift heavy weights straight away, you can't do it, you're gonna injure yourself. Now, another thing, mode of goodness is boring. Think about an activity you know that you have to do it, you have to do it the right way. Do we actually do it? No. We always do, we don't like to associate, we like to do it a different way, like driving. We know we have to drive with 2 hands on our steering wheel, right? But some people drive with 1 hand. Maybe not like that, but you know, like I admit I used to do that as well. But we like to do things which are, you know, gives us pleasure. So we see the mode of goodness as boring. Who wants to go to the gym for 1 year to get fit? You know, to build muscle. Let me just take some steroids. That gives me instant gratification. I remember there was this diet about 10 years ago. I heard about it. It was called the maple syrup diet. Do you guys know about that diet? They still call it the Beyonce diet. So the idea was you take this drink, you fast, and basically you lose instant weight. You know, and it wasn't healthy for your body. You couldn't sustain it. You know, so we like to do things which are spicy, which are exciting. So we avoid choosing the mode of goodness. We like to go passionate ignorance, even though we know it's bad for us, you know. So now our ultimate goal is to be happy, right? We want to be happy. We want to be, you know, people who feel like we're making a contribution to society, you know. And Krishna dedicates a chapter to this in the Bhagavad Gita. He says he basically says, listen, I've created a system to be happy, right? You don't know the system. I know the system because I created the system. How do you become happy? How do you become? How do you live a life where you can become at least satisfied in the mode of goodness, or become rise above it? By making decisions in the mode of goodness. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's about 3-4 chapters where Krishna gives the symptoms of each of these modes. He talks about food in the modes. He talks about charity in the modes. He talks about I'm trying to think one more example. It will come to me. He talks about different things in the modes of goodness. Now, he doesn't speak about everything in existence because there's a gazillion things you can talk about. But he talks about these things, and when we then by studying that, we can understand the symptoms and how to choose in the mode of goodness. And if we do that, we will naturally we will feel the effect straight away. You will naturally do things like, for example, if you're waking up early, you're doing your bed as soon as you wake up, you have a bath, you have healthy breakfast. Guess what? Other aspects of your life, though, you're going to make decisions in the mode of goodness. It's going to be unconscious. You're going to naturally be attracted to it. It's just going to draw you and it's going to compel you, right? Now, what to speak of if you augment that with spiritual activities? If you augment that with spiritual activities, not only are you going to be on the mode of goodness, but you're going to rise above the mode of goodness. Okay? So how to become free? Don't associate with the mode of passion or ignorance. Chose mode of goodness. Look at the symptoms. Make conscious decisions, which leads one to freedom step by step. Now, how do you do this? By acquiring knowledge. Reading the Bhagavad Gita. If you haven't read it, please read it, especially the 13th, 14th chapter. Right, so I actually had this personality sheet I wanted to give you guys, and you just basically assess yourself on the basis of the modes. Unfortunately, my printer wasn't working, so I couldn't give it, but I'm going to email it to Manohar Prabhu, who, if you want it, he can send it to you. So I'm going to stop here, so I've gone over a little bit back time. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes?
Same question. I think we technically answered like, oh, so choosing something good like is a hard decision because it takes time and everything. But still, it's a free will, and like if I'm at a point where I can decide to be ignorant or be good.
Okay.
Like, I don't have any pressure.
So when you say
but I choose to be ignorant.
Like, when you say you want to be ignorant, you have to give an example. So like a symptom.
Like coming here with this is goodness,
Okay.
and it's really hard.
It's really hard for you. What would be the alternative?
I don't know, just hanging out. I was just doing a lot.
But you could be hanging out with your family, your friends. You could be going to the gym. That's also
like passion. So then I think I'm in between goodness and passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to, like I explained, you have to choose a symptom of the mode of goodness. It could be a very small thing. And if you keep making that decision, that choice, the mode of goodness will become much more attractive to you. You will naturally be drawn to it. You will be compelled to choose it. You know, it will become, you won't even have to think about it. It will become natural. Now you could say, well, there's no free will there, but you made the decision initially to choose it. That small free will led to you becoming conditioned by the free modes, the mode of goodness. It all starts with a little bit of free will. You have free will in all of them. You can move up, but you have to make that decision. And it starts with something small, but the effect is disproportionate. Yeah, finish.
No, it sounds like what you're saying very nicely is that it's kind of working a muscle that you have to make a choice, and it may be difficult to choose the mode of goodness, but by really, doing that to build that muscle to the point where it becomes second nature. It actually becomes difficult to choose not to act in that free will, act in that.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, Nitin.
Another element that's there in the second chapter of Gita is that we need to be rewarded by our choice. So he says that a person can give up something, but there's still a sense of attachment. But if they experience a higher taste, they actually experience something by the act of going through mode of goodness or even higher than mode of goodness, then they can actually become attached because they're experiencing something. Therefore, like I said, breaks that faith to do the long-term benefit.
So it's like I was thinking, like how do you make sure you choose things in the mode of goodness, right? So we do that anyway. Like association is key. Like going to the gym, we go with our friends, right? That motivates us. Studying together, studying in groups, it helps you to focus. So association is key. Constant studying, reminding yourself every day why you're doing this, and associating with people who also follow, who also can, like if you're quite impressionable, you can be influenced by people to do wrong things. Stay away from those people. Stay with people who can inspire you to do the right things. So you have to take these avoid these hazards and make kind of like booby trap your life in such a way so you don't fall into all these different things. But it requires intelligence, it requires sincerity and association. Association is the key. Should I finish? Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Dharmaraj Prabhu. Can we all give one more round of applause for Dharmaraj?